Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration and juice. It is Wednesday, September the 20th, 2023. And today the topic is consider Ater. Y'all, all right. Well, it has been a morning for me. I believe that I have a word or two to share. I felt led to kind of start this off by saying, no man knows the day nor the hour or anything like that, but it does feel like I don't even know what to call it. I mean, you guys can, I guess, let the Lord lead you on what He or reveals to you what he's saying that this is. But I mean, it could be a right on time, I guess, message for whoever I would say tune in live or listens to this or watches this today. Or it could be, something for the future as well. Who knows? But regardless, I'm just going to share with you all what happened, what I've received, and the Lord's going to say whatever he wants to say through me in regards to the references and whatnot, because all I did was write down the things that I felt led to write down. So if you was curious about my day or if you care about it, whatever, I mean, yesterday was cool. There was some cool stuff that happened yesterday. Maybe I'll talk about that in the after show. So sorry, podcast people, if that's something that you like hearing about what happened. I kind of feel led to just get to the juice. So let's get to it. And then if I feel led to share about my day and whatnot, then that'll be in the after show. All right. So consider Ater. Those of you all, if you look at the Go Deeper section or if you saw the title of this, you see how that's spelled, but I'll just spell it just in case you don't look. It's Ater. Now, you may wonder, how did I get to this? Well, I'm going to tell you. Basically, long story short, you guys know, a lot of the times if I wake up anytime outside of 4, I usually make a note of it and look it up. So today was no different. I woke up at 3:33. Now, I think it's important to pause right here because I know people really are into these things called angel numbers and all this type of stuff. So I guess with 3 being repeated, this would be considered, I guess, a quote unquote angel number and things like that. And I guess I just want to, preface all this by saying that at the end of the day, I don't pay attention to that type of stuff. I tend to either Google Bible and the numbers, or I now I go to what is called the Strong's Concordance. I downloaded an app. I told you guys about it back when I did it, but I'm just going to say it again today because I used it a lot today. So there's an app. The icon is purple. It says Bible. If you look up Strong's Concordance, you should be able to find the app that I'm using, if it's still available or whatever the case may be, because who knows when you're going to listen to this. But basically, there's an app called the Strong's Concordance, and it's purple icon that says Bible. I use that to go deeper about numbers sometimes. So that's one thing I want to just go ahead and put on the table here. Now, with that being said, that's what I did this morning. Now, yes, I did do both. I, Googled Bible and whatnot. And yes, some verses came up and they were good. But I felt led to focus on what I found in the Strong's Concordance. So this title, Consider Ater, is literally what I translated, quote unquote, the 333 to mean when I looked up the two. When I looked it up in the Strong's Concordance and I read both the Greek and the Hebrew word for 333, or the word that was words that was correlated with 333. Sometimes when I come across these things, like for example, if I put in 333 and it shows me these words written in Greek and in Hebrew, obviously I don't read Greek and Hebrew, so I tend to go deeper. I'll copy that thing. I'll go to Google and say translate it or whatever the case may be. So that's a I mean, I did that a lot today, and I guess I'll try to share, but I don't, you know, I don't know which particular words I did it for, but some of the things are already defined in the app. Some of the things I go deeper about when I look it up on Google and stuff like that. So again, with that being said, one of the definitions, I don't know if it was the Greek or the Hebrew, but one of the definitions was saying consider, or it also meant like behold, one of the words that came under 333. But consider stood out to me the most. So I said, okay, consider what, Lord? You know, I went to the next word, which was again either the Hebrew or the Greek, and it was saying Ater. Now it didn't say Ater, it said an Israelite, and then it also said whatever the Greek version of it was. And when I went to go deeper about that, that's where I got Ater from. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But you guys can go and confirm all this on your own, because I just told you everywhere you guys can go in regards to the Strong's Concordance, or what I use. So go and check out if I just explained it to you correctly, but that's pretty much what I did. And when I translated Ater, or sometimes when it says like a name, I'll go and see what the name means, because we know that the Bible does that a lot. Like a lot of names, and I guess all of our names in some way, which is interesting because my guest yesterday was talking about this. But anywho, not yesterday, but the day before yesterday. But anyway, our names have meaning and whatnot. I don't know if y'all don't know that or not. So whatever your parents name you is kind of like speaking over your life in some ways. If you go deeper about it, I guess you'll find out. I know it's interesting because my name is Miraculous. I mean, yeah, y'all know me as Miracle. But that makes it kind of hard for me because it's not a regular name. And so I've often questioned, like, well, what is my meaning in X, Y, and Z? But that's a whole nother conversation. We talk about Ater today, okay? So when I looked up Ater, it said left hand shed. When I went deeper about Ater, just to make sure, I was seeing words like binder, black, dark, fire, to send, to deliver, things of that nature. So ultimately, when I first started looking up verses and stuff like that, I was kind of looking into things like consider the left, I was like left hand closed, or things like that. For some reason, I focused on the word closed rather than shed. And that's kind of significant later, because then I went back to shed, and that gave me a little bit more revelation. But, I was looking up those different things. And to be honest, like I said, sometimes as I was going deeper, I felt like it was important, but at the same time, I was like, I don't understand, Lord. You know what I mean? Like, what does this mean? Okay, I know that the Bible has a lot to say about the right hand versus the left and stuff like that. So that's what held me on to this conversation, to keep going and keep going deeper about it. Because honestly, for the first few minutes of me just trying to figure out what Ater meant, I was almost, not say discouraged to keep looking, but I just was like, I don't understand what's happening. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand, what you're saying to me, Lord. And I keep feeling led to keep going deeper, but I just don't know what to even look up, because even when I looked up the word close, it's very simple. It was a very simple definition. And it just was like, okay, there's nothing standing out to me here, or whatever the case may be. But ultimately, I just felt led to just start writing. And so that's what I did. And whatnot. So I just picked up a pen. I just started writing down the things that I saw. So I started with Ater, those things I just showed you or told you guys about. Then when I was started to look up again the difference between right hand and left hand, or right and left in the Bible, these are the things that were standing out to me. Right, it says strength and honor. Then it said left usually represents biblically riches and honor. The right tends to represent Christian people. The left represents all others. Also, the left represents weakness, passivity, the lame, and then it also mentioned female principle, which we know that people take issue with what the Bible got to say about females. I'm just telling y'all what the things right and left usually represents biblically. So I was feeling led, because I was like, oh, okay, I was starting to see something here in regards to the left being closed, because that's what Ater meant. But so I just kept focusing on the word closed. So then basically I defined the word. I told y'all I really didn't get much, but I went ahead and wrote it down anyway. The definition that I saw said not open. And I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? I know, but still, I'm like, well, what's the point of me? So what, the hand is not open? Like, I'm trying to figure out, the left hand is not open. I just really couldn't figure it out. I was like, what does this mean though, Lord? Are you closing something off? Like, I mean, I know I definitely have heard the prophecies about, evil people and things are going to come to a head and X, Y, and Z and all this type of stuff. So I'm like, is it that type of stuff, Lord? I definitely saw something in regards to the left hand, meaning like the judgment of God and things like that as well. I didn't write that down, but I did go deeper about that later on after I had done all the rest of this stuff. But anywho, let me keep telling y'all what happened. So then basically after that, I started to look into the word shut. And then that's when I came across this definition that says move into position so as to block an opening. And then it also again says close. So, and then the second definition says make something unavailable for business or service, either permanently or until due to be open again. So with that being said, I definitely was seeing or receiving, I guess, that, what if you're on the left hand, right? Like if you're not of God, if you're, in the anyone else category, then I don't know if it's going to happen right now. I don't know when, but expect your, I guess, wells to run dry is what just came into my heart and mind right now. Whatever prosperity, whatever the case may be, might be getting closed real soon. I'm just receiving like that. That's what I'm receiving by this morning as I was finally writing things down. And then even right now, again, I didn't write nothing about wills on this paper, but that's what just came to me as I was sitting here talking to y'all now. Expect your wells to run dry. Because I mean, obviously you're out of the will of the Lord. That could be Pope. I mean, but I'm just letting y'all know what came to me or what's coming to me. So anywho, after this, what else do I have here? I started to go deeper because, again, I'm considering Ater. I'm considering that word Ater. So I went back, and in the Strong's Concordance, it talks about like these different places that the word Ater is in the Bible. I didn't write down the places, but again, y'all can go there to the app yourself and see. You should be able to even Google, if you Google like Strong's Concordance 333 and all this type of stuff. But I believe you guys should be able to find it yourself as well. But I'm just going to share with you guys, again, my process of what was coming to me. And hopefully you guys receive whatever the Lord's trying to say through me and through all of this. So as I went back into Ater, and then I went and looked at the particular verses where the word Ater was used, or quote unquote the name Ater was used, it kept representing like this biblical figure in their children, honestly, something like that, or I guess maybe the line or the bloodline or whatever the case may be. But anyway, ultimately, I started to pay attention. So basically in the verse where it said, the first verse that I looked at, and it mentioned Ater, it mentioned like 98 children or something like that. And so I just happened to go back to the Strong's Concordance and plug in 98. When I did that, it came up with Adramatinos, which ultimately led me to Adramatinum. And then, so one of the words meant that, and that means court of death. Court of death is what that means. The other one, again, it's either the Hebrew or the Greek. So you can look at whichever one it actually is, but it's one of those. And then the other one, the Hebrew or the Greek, it means lake. And when I look up a biblical meaning of lake, it means you guys may be able to have to look up that word, garner, something of fertility. And then it says the transition of life, death, and resurrection. So, I mean, again, I mean, we know that that's the choice at the end of the day, life or death. You know what I mean? That's the choice, good or evil. Like, those are the choices, and everything like that. And we know that obviously those that choose Christ and things like that, you have chosen life and things like that. On the other hand, if you choose against Christ, then you're choosing death, X, Y, and Z. This is all according to the Bible, not just my little humble opinions, okay? So with that being said, I mean, choose you this day. You know, are you going to approach God and then you end up in the court of death? I mean, I don't know. Like, you know, these are things to think about. I'm just telling y'all again what and the Lord was sharing with me this morning through this conversation and title and stuff. I'm gonna keep going. I mean, I kept going and doing this. So when I went to the second one, I came across 139, and that brought me Lord of Justice. It also brought me taking, receiving a choice selection. So again, this just reminded me, and I think this is what ultimately made me go deeper about God's judgment, because it just kept reminding me of obviously, like, I guess, the judgment seat and things like that. And people say all the time, only God can judge me. But then it's like, do you truly think about what that means? And does that affect how you're going to live your life? If you know that at the end of the day, only God can judge you. Like, it doesn't matter what I think about you or anybody else. At the end of the day, it matters what God thinks. And if you're going to continue to walk a lifestyle or do things or whatever the case may be that is out of the will of God, and you haughtily say, yeah, only God can judge me, then don't be surprised when the judgment comes. You know, don't be surprised when your wells run dry. Don't be surprised, you know, when you're at the seat of God and he's looking like, I don't know you. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. Is that a humbling thing for you today? Or are you going to hold on to your pride and continue to scoff in the face of God and say, yeah, only God can judge me, but that's not going to affect how I want to live or live or whatever the case may be. It's just something to think about. I mean, you know, I'm not here to judge or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, you're right. Only God can judge you, you know? But I don't know, like, when you, and I know this might be, I don't know if it's a quote unquote hellfire message, or I don't know if, you know, this is a quote unquote scared straight situation. But if this does scare you into a straight path, then to God be the glory. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, you know, I know people struggle with that as well. That's something else that was coming to me as I was writing down all these and getting into revelations about the judgment and all this type of stuff. It's like, but sometimes people need to remember, like, who God is and everything like that. Like, just a few weeks ago, we talked about, you know, there was these verses that talked about, like, if God took his breath away, like, we all would just perish. Like, that's how powerful he is. But we take his kindness for weakness, and we take his long-suffering nature and spit on him, you know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be, just the utmost disrespect. And it's just very interesting. Or whatever, like, thinking about all of this and things like that. So just something to think about. I'm just gonna keep telling y'all what I was receiving. So here we go. So after I read, came across 139, so I went to the other verse, another verse, and I noticed that it was talking about 98 again. I had already looked up 98, so I didn't feel led to do that. But then ultimately it came into my heart and mind to say 98 times 2, because I saw it twice. And I said, okay. So then when I did that calculation, it was 196. I'll tell you what 196. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you now. So 196 meant one of the words meant foolish, and the other one meant most precious. Listen, we talking about the left hand and the right hand, y'all. Are you gonna be on the most precious side, or are you gonna be on the foolish side? Like, I mean, that's what I'm receiving. You guys can go deeper and see what the Lord's sharing, what else he's sharing with you about that. But yeah, that's what I got looked into when I saw 196, or that's what I received. Then again, there was another verse. The number that stood out to me was 138, and it says, "Take for oneself the Lord God." At the end of the day, I know people keep talking about the rapture, you know what I'm saying? And they joke about it, and they're like, oh, people say all the time, God's coming back. He didn't understand it for thousands of years. Da, 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 da. But at the end of the day, when it happens, like, are you going to be amongst those that are taken or not? You know, and see, that's the thing. I know I kind of struggled with this as I, you know, studied and whatnot, because I was kind of confused, you know, because you hear about apparently there's still going to be believers on earth after the rapture and things of that nature. And you're like, how is that? Because they are supposed to be taken up, right? Well, what my revelation, or the revelation that has come to me, and y'all, again, y'all can seek the Lord for yourself, but the revelation that has come to me is those believers after the rapture and whatnot are those that are probably lukewarm now. And that felt very final when I said that. I'm just telling y'all what I'm feeling in my heart. Like, the lukewarm now will be the ones that perhaps will come to Christ afterwards, but you still got to go through the tribulation at that point. So, I mean, I guess do your part and, you know, prayerfully get more people to join you at that point, because obviously if you're left behind and you know, like what happened to those that have been taken, then ultimately that will hopefully encourage you to get on a good foot. But at the same time, it talks about the plenty that won't steal. Like they'll witness the things and then they'll still, you know, scoff at the Lord. They'll still, you know, throw up their fingers or whatever the case may be. And so, but anywho, y'all can again let all of that marinate. I'm just gonna keep sharing the things that stood out to me. So, there was one verse I went to, and it didn't really have any numbers. It only had 3 names. It had Ater. It also had Hiskayah. Well, I might not be saying it right, but I'm just going to try to read the best I can. Hiskayah, and it also had Azur. When I looked up Hiskayah, whatever it is, and Azur, this is what it means. Hiskayah means God strengthens. Azur means he that assists or is assisted. So, and we told y'all that left hand is shit is what Ater means, with all the other stuff that I mentioned earlier. So, that's something to think about as well. You know, I mean, perhaps this is the good news in this situation. I mean, God is there, right? You can accept him now. You can start walking in the way today, right? And everything like that. You guys can go deeper about all this and see what the Lord shows you, and everything like that. You have another chance if you're still alive, breathing, listening to the sound of my voice, right? But the thing is, you know, at some point the chances will be done. You know, at some point I guess the left hand will be closed and the judgment's going to come. And again, it's up to you which side you're on. But I mean, it's just something to consider and think about. And that's what I feel led to do today. I mean, consider consider Ater, you know. Now let me see. I was asking Lord, well, you know, do you have any Bible for this, you know? And so I ended up going to openbible.info, and I think the Lord led me to plug in, I think, God's judgment at that point. And the very first verse said this. It was 1 Peter 4:17. It says, "For it is time for judgment to begin at the household of God, and if it begins with us, what will be the outcome for those who do not obey the gospel of God?" Listen, I listen. If I needed confirmations, which I didn't, but if I did, that being the very first verse I came across when I asked the Lord, did he have some verses? I mean, there's so much there. I mean, one, it confirms this whole thing about judgment and that it's coming soon. Now, again, I can't say it's today. I can't say, I don't know. You know what I mean? No man knows the day nor the hour. I know at some point as I was writing this, I said, Lord, what if I'm sitting here doing the juice and he just takes me away right now? Like, first I'm live and then I'm no longer here. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm still here right now. So we're going to see what the Lord do. But that did kind of cross my mind as well. Like, I guess to think about this, it can be suddenly. The Bible says suddenly, y'all. And things of that nature. And so it's something to think about. You know, are you ready for that? You know, that's one thing to consider. Another verse that stood out to me to share was 2 Corinthians 3:16. It says, "For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each one may receive what is due for what he has done in the body, whether good or evil." Listen, it's an individual thing. It doesn't matter what you feel about people in church. It doesn't matter about, you know, what your mama did, what your daddy did. It don't matter about, you know, all the different voices that's on social media. It don't matter about any of that. At the end of the day, the only thing that's going to matter is you and your decision, you and your choice that you made with Jesus. And no one can take that, you know, take your place. in that moment, so it's something to think about, y'all. I mean, consider Ater today. Again, I you know, yeah, yeah. I mean, there were so many verses. I put a few in the Go Deeper section for you guys to peruse and let marinate on your heart, souls, and mind. But there were so many that I just said, hey, go to openbible.info yourself and plug in God's judgment and see where the Lord leads you. See what verses stand out to you. And yeah, and consider where you are in life. Think about what you're going to do with this message of Christ. And I mean, ultimately, this is the juice today. I mean, I got another verse, and then I got the Bible verse of the day. So here's the last verse that I felt led to write down. It's Ecclesiastes 12:14. It says, "For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil." So yeah, there you go. I mean, that's the juice today. It might be pulpy, you might not like it, it might be a little tangy, but I hope that you guys take heed. Whoever listens to the sound of my voice, I hope that you are encouraged and inspired to at least go deeper about these things. And yeah, that's the juice. Now, the Bible verse of today is Matthew 5:4. It says, "Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted." Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Before I let y'all go, let me tell y'all this right quick, because here's another thing. Again, I didn't need more confirmation, but I just happened to look it up and it became more confirmation. So y'all may notice I got this little colorful pen. And today, lately I've been using purple. First I started off using black, and then I started using blue. Because my black was starting to, fade a little bit. So I started using the different colors. And I've been using purple. But today, when I started writing, I just picked the color. I didn't even look at it. And I just started writing, and I ended up using green today. I looked up green before I went live here on dreammoves.com. I looked up green as a, like, what does that mean? And one of the things that stood out to me in regards to the meaning, they had several meanings there what green could mean. But the thing that stood out to me was the phrase that said, "Go ahead." So, and I felt like the Lord was telling me to go ahead and do this and share this today. So, all right, I'm just sharing with y'all what didn't happen. I hope y'all are encouraged and inspired. That's all I got to say about all of this, man. That's the juice. Today's Wednesday. I hope y'all have a wonderful Wednesday, and I look forward to talking to y'all tomorrow if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. There you go. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. Anybody listening to the sound of my voice, I hope that you all are encouraged and inspired. Thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing, and sharing all those wonderful things. Yep. I mean, there's so much to say, but at the same time, I know that was a lot already. So, I mean, y'all just let those things marinate on your heart, souls, and minds, and do whatever you feel led to do with it. I hope that you feel led to get closer to the Lord and seek these things for yourself and see what He shows you. But, I feel like I did my part. So that's that. If you're curious about my day yesterday, yeah, man, I really, again, I'm taking another step forward in this project. It's very, very close to being done and announced and whatnot. So I don't feel led to go too deep into that at the moment. But I'm just marking for the record that I saw another piece and yesterday and confirmed another piece to the puzzle, and I'm thankful for it. Outside of that, I mean, just cute moments with my son. I was having a lot of conversations yesterday, I feel like, as well. Yeah, I feel like I had a lot of conversations yesterday. Not a whole lot, but I don't know. I feel like I did. Like, I didn't have to record or anything yesterday. Oh yeah, I met up with that couple I was telling y'all about. I'm like, why do I feel like I talked to a lot of people yesterday? Yeah, I met up with that couple. They're so cute, man. I could really truly see them going the distance. So, to God be the glory, man. I'm excited for them. Excited to hear what comes and whatnot. And yeah, so I'm just praying for them and whatnot. But yeah, that was really very nice as well. That happened yesterday. And yeah, that's the main stuff. But I'm gonna let y'all go because NJ's gonna be having to go to his class in a couple of hours, and then I gotta record GSL, and then later on tonight I'm supposed to be at the church doing childcare and whatnot. So that's what my day looks like, and so yeah, but I'll talk to y'all tomorrow, with the Lord's will. Y'all have a wonderful Wednesday. And yeah, go deeper, man. Go deeper by all means. By all means. I implore you, go deeper. Y'all have a great day. Bye.